Yeah, all right, we're good. All right, what's up, guys? Lee Sanders here, checking out special Sunday night edition of the RCWR show. We're covering WWE Summerslam 2020 Fallout for August the 23rd, 2020. How the hell y'all been, man? Y'all fantastic? Y'all good? Now look, heads up, before anybody even asks, if you're looking for me to talk about NXT in any capacity, because I know Saturday night they did do a takeover event. I did talk about the takeover event. I've now got to actually remix the audio and everything. That's actually going to be made exclusive to our Patreon members only, because we like giving them exclusives. So do consider being a Patreon member as you get access to bonus audio, video content, great majority of which you ain't going to be able to find anywhere else. Patreon.com/RCWR show. $5 a month, man. It's $5 to freaking get you in there. Get you everything and then some. But tonight we just strictly talking about tonight's SummerSlam event. We also are definitely going to be talking about Renee Young as it's official. For those of you that did not get a chance to check out SummerSlam tonight during the pre-show, Renee Young officially said her goodbye. So we'll talk about all of that in just a hot second. Meanwhile, for those of you that did check out SummerSlam, I got a poll up right now. Want to know what you guys had thought about tonight's SummerSlam pay-per-view event. So you can sound off a couple of ways. We got YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click over on the communities tab. There's a poll right there. You can cast your vote that way. And I'll definitely be seeing what you all have to say on there in a hot little bit. We also got a poll on Twitter as well. Get at me on Twitter at the RCWR show. We're polling our own respective followers. Not to mention, we also polled WWE fans as well. As a matter of fact, bear with me 1 second here. Let's see if we can actually do this again. Let's see. Can we do that again? Nah. Actually, you know what? Let's stay with our own respective followers. Let's do that. And let's actually delete that one. Yeah, so we'll keep it real simple tonight. So you got Twitter and you got YouTube. Take your pick. We'll see what you guys have to say in a hot little bit. So, the big dog. The big old dog. The DOG. Or the DAWG. Roman Reigns making his triumphant return to WWE in such strong freaking fashion. I don't know about you guys, but WWE kept dubbing SummerSlam, you never see it. What is it? You didn't see it coming. What was that their little slogan or whatever? You didn't see it coming. So, you hear that. And I posed a very interesting question online right before the pay-per-view was over, really. I posted it probably about an hour into the pay-per-view. And I'm going to read this tweet to you guys because it was a really good question I had put out there. And I said, you know what? I just realized you'll never see it coming is the slogan for SummerSlam, folks. What if this is all about the big reveal for who is behind Retribution? If so, then who is the leader? It's a legit question that I had there. And, if you're like me, you're going, okay, yeah, Lee, this Retribution story angle, it's been kind of dragging on for a hot little bit. We're kind of going a little bit all over the place here. What is Retribution about exactly? What's their whole agenda really? What's the origins of this madness that they're causing on the main flagship shows and everything? What gives? And week after week after week after week, we continue to just see these guys and nothing is really in further development with the Retribution angle and everything. So I was kind of under the impression, okay, you didn't see it coming. All right, so maybe we're finally going to find out who's behind Retribution. Well, we didn't get that tonight. We sadly did not get that tonight, but we got the next best thing. We got the DAWG, Roman Reigns, back in full effect. He made his presence felt in the most impactful way possible the main event match between Bray Wyatt or actually I should say the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Let's make sure we get that right. The Fiend Bray Wyatt taking on the monster Braun Strowman. I gotta say, by the way, because sadly I did not get a chance to watch this past Friday's SmackDown, and I had a SmackDown that was on my DVR from the week prior. I didn't get a chance to watch any of those. If you guys are following me on social media, you know I've been binging on my NBA action and everything. By the way, shout out to those of you on the East Coast at 12 a.m. Eastern. Doesn't matter if you're a Sony PlayStation guy, an Xbox guy, PC guy, don't matter. 12, on the safe side, 12:01 a.m. Eastern, you'll be able to download NBA 2K21, the demo. I know for those of you that maybe are on the West Coast, you're going to have to wait until 3 a.m. Sorry, guys, sorry. But if you're on the East Coast, you ain't got that much time to go till you get to play that joint. So, hey, I'm looking forward to playing that, and I'll actually be coming right back after this stream is over. I'll actually be coming right back, and I will be showcasing that demo, give you all my first impressions of that and everything. So definitely do your best to keep it right here and everything. But yeah, man, he made his presence felt, returning in this main event match. Now, I gotta say, I like the fact that in storyline, Roman Reigns had went on ahead and let this match, you know what? No, Mufu Zobi? No, you fucking suck. You know, just because you don't like something, it doesn't mean that that's the gospel. I mean, different strokes for different folks. Some people like Roman Reigns. Other people don't like Roman Reigns. Some people like John Cena. Other people don't like John Cena. You know, that's what makes this world go round. As I have been saying it for many, many years now, if we all like the same thing, just imagine it. Just imagine if every single person you walk down the street on, just imagine if you came across every single individual that pretty much was into the same thing that you were into. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no, and you know what? No, Mufu, I'm just, it's called interacting. I don't know you, so I have no reason to be hostile to you for any reason whatsoever. It's just, if you interact with me on the show, what, I'm not supposed to interact with you back? That's not how this show works. But nah, just imagine, man, for real talk. If every single person you had came across thought, felt exactly the same ways you felt, man, this world would be really boring. You, me, and everybody else included, man. Everybody else included. So I'm so happy that we all are different in our own unique ways. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but let's stay on topic here. And I can't stress it enough. You know, I want to have this be strictly about SummerSlam. Look, all joking aside, please, nothing about politics. None of that. None of that. This ain't the time. This ain't the place. All right? We got another show for that. That's for our Patreon members. All right? So let's just stick to the wrestling for tonight. That's my one and only warning I'm giving everybody. Because from then on out, I ain't saying nothing else. Well, you know, since you did voluntarily say that, okay, sure, you're blocked. No problem. You're blocked. Yeah, because unfortunately, we have somebody in the chat that, you know, was trying to talk politics and some other stuff. And, you know, it's like, I'm not down with that. So. Yatta! Hey, yatta! Yatta! That's what's up. That's what's up. We got a super chat from my man, Gino. Gino, I can't see what the heck. Oh, Gino. Gino coming in there with the mega ultra combo super chat of $50. Gino, my brother, appreciate that as always, man. Gino said, good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. I was really impressed. I might start watching Raw and SmackDown again. 8 out of 10 show overall. Gino off the break. Love the comment. You know, okay, look, because I do want to kind of have this pay-per-view recap be under an hour. But Gino, there's a couple of interesting dynamics there in what I just read from you. So let me just kind of go into that real quick. I'm sure many fans have probably, I know I personally have been, and I've let it be no secret on social media. Gino can definitely back me up on this. It seems as though what's been happening with WWE programming within the past several weeks, it's just become unbearable. I don't know if you all have felt that same way, but for me, it started to get to a point where it was feeling like a chore to watch these shows. And I remember saying on social media just a couple of days ago, I said, my God, the product that we had just as little as 3 years ago was more tolerable, slightly more enjoyable than what we've been getting these past several weeks. And I remember saying, again, openly on social media, I said, man, I've gotten to that point now where I'm looking at other avenues for entertainment. And for me, I said, for me right now, it's sports. I don't care if it's NHL. I don't care if it's NBA. I don't care if it's baseball, WNBA. Just, I need my sports fix. I need to take my mind out of everything that's been going on in the news and just with the pandemic and the political season and, people dying from this pandemic and people, friends that I know, family members I know. I'm sure you have people that you know as well that are struggling to make ends meet and everything. It's like, okay, just help me escape the realism for just a hot minute. And sports has always been right there for us. It's always been that blanket for us during some turbulent times. And so I found myself, I won't say starting to become bitter, particularly with what I was seeing from the WWE product. And let me make sure I really break this down. With regards to Raw and SmackDown, now granted, SmackDown, I haven't watched in a couple of weeks, but what I did watch was pretty much how I felt, equivalent to Raw, which is, man, they're just phoning the shit in here. This is just below mediocre. And what really sucks, and I've said this time and time again, it's not like they don't have the talent, because they do. But the story arcs that they're doing and everything, it's just, So I found myself, and then even with NXT, even the most hardcore NXT fan will tell you, NXT has even kind of gotten a little bit stale. It's kind of, it's in need of a slight facelift right now. And maybe with some of the things that occurred at TakeOver over the weekend, maybe that is going to jumpstart it a little bit and everything. We'll have to wait and see. But I definitely felt that, okay, with just the WWE product overall, okay, all right, let me go see what's going on. And not for nothing, you look at AEW, a little bit of the same type of deal. They aren't immune. They are not immune. I'm sure fans that are truly unbiased can appreciate wrestling from all promotions. I'm sure if they really just take a step back, some of the stuff that AEW is doing, not for nothing, it ain't smelling all banging like roses as well. So for me, it's okay. I'm starting to feel this way. The last thing I want to do is, again, I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for everybody else. But I know there's a lot of people that definitely felt the way I felt. Okay, well, rather than be bitter and kind of feel like, nobody's forcing me to watch this, let me go see what else is out there wrestling content-wise or non-wrestling content-wise. I gotta tell you, watching SummerSlam tonight, for me, I kind of went through the motions with some of the matches, but overall, that rating that Gino gave, a 8 out of 10, I would kind of agree with that. Let's go over some more of the matches that happened on the card here. We'll run it down and we'll see if I still feel that it's an 8 out of 10 if I'm matching up with Gino towards the end there. But Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Universal Championship match. Good matchup. I love the brute physicality of this match between these two men. These two men were just going at it left and right. I love this. I love this. And by the way, this was my first time officially seeing Braun Strowman's new look now that he has a bald head and everything. Braun, my brother, welcome to the club, man. Happy to have you on board. I can still grow my hair. But it is starting to thin out. It's nowhere near like what happened with Shawn Michaels. We saw how his dome is looking nowadays. It's nowhere like that. But my girl definitely told me, don't grow the hair out anymore. I like it better with the bald head. Like, oh, all right, cool. So, Braun, you could kind of see that his hair was starting to thin out pretty badly. And yes, Gino, yes, bald is beautiful. I tell you, there's no better feeling in the world than right after you get done shaving your head and it's just all nice and smooth, and you just touch that joint and it's like, ooh, silky, and then having a nice woman just, come up and, have your girl, your baby, just rub it down, real quick, rub your head, and that'll lead to a couple of other things. You wink, wink, wink. Oh, no better feeling in the world, man. No better feeling in the world. Best part I like about being a bald dude, man, I don't have to worry about hair. I can just wake up. I can just wash my face, take that same rag, do my head real quick, wash it down. Boom. I'm out the door. But yeah, Braun, from the time that he came up on the main roster, Braun was thinning pretty badly. He was thinning pretty badly. But for him to go the route that he did, I know everybody's like, Big Show. He looks like Big Show 2.0. He looks like Big Show 2.0. Yeah, I see that as well. But, look, some people, they feel comfortable with having a receding hairline. They feel comfortable with pushing leftovers, as I like to call them. When all you got left is basically leftovers, you got the sides and you ain't got nothing going on, on the crown and everything. Some people are just pushing it like, hey, they don't want to let that last little bit go, to each its own. But, it's all about what you feel comfortable with. Like, let me tell you something. The very first time that, not to be long-winded, but the very first time I shaved my head bald, I'll never forget. My then wife at the time, rest her soul, rest in peace. My late ex-wife, she had ran some errands one day, and my hair, it was already kind of thinning just a little bit, like in the front. It was receding actually. And so if you guys know Christopher Maloney from Law and Order SVU, it wasn't quite where his head is now, but if you just kind of go back to the earlier seasons, like maybe the first 5 seasons of SVU, it was kind of like starting to get to that point as far as a receding hairline. And one day I just said, okay, let me just, I'm kind of curious. So I took some scissors and I just snip, took a razor. My girl came home about 2 hours later, and she actually was crying. It was funny because it was shock. She was angry, and all mixed in one. And there was also a pleasant surprise. I mean, it was weird, all the emotions that she had wrapped up in one. And then she said, but I miss the hair. But I think I can get used to this. And for me, that's the birth of the bald head. So I mean, everybody eventually kind of goes down their own path if they're having the receding hairline and everything. It looks good on him, honestly. It looks really, really good on him. And I gotta tell you, you gotta have the right type of shaped head. First of all, you gotta have the right type of look, front face profile wise. The side profile doesn't really matter too much, but it's really about that front. You just got to have the right type of shapely head for it and everything. Not everybody can pull it off, but Braun pulls it off pretty damn good. Gotta say, he pulls it off pretty damn good. But good match between him and the Fiend. Loved it. Ate that shit up. Very, very physical of a match that it was. Towards the closing moments of this matchup, the tail end of the matchup, we saw Braun Strowman. I mean, he was doing good on the offense, but then he decides to grab a box cutter. He goes inside of the ring, and at this point, you're kind of thinking, the hell is he getting ready to do? I'm looking at this, I'm going, nah, brother, don't shank him. Don't shank him. I know it's like no DQ or whatever, but ain't nobody saying you had to shank a motherfucker. But I'm thinking that, but also at the same time, I'm going realistically. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he's getting ready to cut the Fiend's hair. Maybe he's trying to take off that mask or whatever. Maybe he's trying to add serious insult to injury, and he's trying to, really get into the psyche of the Fiend here. He's really trying to break him mentally or whatever, and strip away the mask. There goes all the power or whatever the case may be. But now we see him go in the ring, and he decides, Braun Strowman that is, he decides he wants to do a little bit of remodeling with the ring. He's pretty much cutting up the padding, exposing the wood surface of the ring, because he's ready to do some devastating shit to our boy, the Fiend. Fiend has recovered. Fiend is pretty much like Undertaker, Kane. You gotta stay on top of him. You know how he keeps getting up. This guy's fucking Jason, after all. All right? You think he's dead, he keeps coming back. So you gotta stay on top of him. Braun Strowman losing his cool. Why won't you stay down? They go at it for a bit. Fiend gets the upper hand. Goes in with the Sister Abigail, not once, but twice. Does it both times, making sure that Strowman, connected to that exposed surface of the ring, gets the 1, 2, 3, retains the Universal Championship that way. So you're seeing this, and I got to tell you, as far as predictions go, if you all had checked out, I believe it was, we did a show. I actually got to look in the notes real quick here, because there was a show that we had dropped audio. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but there was a show that was kind of not really that much press was put out there on social media, probably like 1 or 2 things here and there. But there was a show that was released over the weekend, and I want to say it was actually our Monday show. But I'm happy I did mention that show that we dropped on Saturday. Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, it was actually our Monday show where I was giving predictions. And I said, no, it needs to come full circle for the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. He needs to get that championship again. Now, granted, given what's going on with this new incarnation of Braun Strowman, again, you're talking to somebody that sadly has missed a couple of weeks of SmackDown. I gotta tell you, had I watched SmackDown, been caught up all the way up to now, I gotta tell you, as far as when I was offering predictions earlier in the week, I probably would have stuck with Braun Strowman. I would have probably changed my pick, and I would have stuck with Braun Strowman, but I just felt that Braun had essentially reached his peak as a champion. And for me, I just felt, now's the time, change the title, put it back on the Fiend. The Fiend really shouldn't have lost the title in the first place. And it never was cool with me what all have fucking went down there with Goldberg and all that other. I never was fucking cool with it. I never was. My whole thing was, let the Fiend fucking dominate. Let him hold on to that title. Let him keep it nice and fucking hot until Roman decides health-wise he's comfortable coming back, and ultimately he could resume his feud with the Fiend. That's how I always felt. The shit with Goldberg should have never fucking went down. But it is what it is. So to see Roman Reigns just pop up, I can't remember what he had on his shirt. Wreak Havoc, leave, something along those lines. I mean, he basically just destroys the hell out of the Fiend, destroys the hell out of Braun Strowman, takes a steel chair to Braun Strowman. Oh my God, that was vicious Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns with a serious mean streak. Roman Reigns just going belligerent with that steel chair to the back of Strowman, saying, monster, you call yourself a monster. You ain't nothing without me. I made you. I made you what you are today. Talking mad shit to him, and then homing in his focus on the Fiend, saying he wouldn't be champion. Everything that's been going on with him, it's all because of him, Roman Reigns, beating the crap out of the Fiend, giving him a couple of spears. So Roman Reigns really asserting himself right here. You can't help but wonder. By the way, physically, he looked fucking jacked. once in a while I was seeing pictures of him and his workouts and all of that. I remember the one picture that was floating around. I think he was doing something with his cousin, The Rock. But I really haven't been keeping tabs on his social media accounts and everything. So but I should have known something was up, because all of a sudden I'm seeing this Hyundai commercial and Roman Reigns is just like, and I thought it was kind of weird. I started to say something on social media, but I didn't want to come off like I was reading too much into it. But I just thought it was odd that we get this commercial for a Hyundai during the pay-per-view and Roman Reigns is in there. Oh yeah, we've hooked up with Hyundai. We're gonna give you guys some nice, cool little goodies. Hyundai's doing stuff for kids or whatever, needy families, something along those lines is kind of what I had gathered. Really wasn't paying attention that long with it and everything, but I just thought that was kind of weird. That, okay, we haven't seen anything really from Roman Reigns, and now all of a sudden, hey, here's Roman Reigns. Here's freaking Roman Reigns. Kind of interesting. Gino saying something in the chat here. I like the 24 special that is on now, the network, talking about WrestleMania. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I'll check it out. I don't know when I'll be checking it out, because I am just deep in my NBA playoffs right now. As a matter of fact, I am like, including tonight, I think I am now 7 games behind. So after tonight, I'm hoping that I will be caught up and I can enjoy the games in real time. That's the ultimate goal. But I so thought that when I saw Roman Reigns initially, I'm going, okay, is it possible? Because some people were floating around the idea, hey, maybe Roman Reigns is behind Retribution. And it was quickly dismissed because people were going, nah, there's no way that golden goose is going to be coming back as a heel. Forget about it. But based on what you saw tonight, you're left with a burning question right now, which is what exactly did we see there with Roman Reigns? Is he back as a heel here? What's going on? Because what he displayed tonight was heel-like tendencies. So, what exactly is up right here? It's one thing to reinsert yourself into the picture and wanting to make a statement, wanting to make an impact, storyline-wise, but to see it in the fashion that I loved it. I can't wait to fucking hear what's going on here with Roman Reigns. I'm happy that he's back. And I really want to let this be known perfectly clear, because I know we're going to have some people, they're probably going to call me a Roman Reigns bandwagon rider or whatever. Longtime listeners know this. I've always been very consistent with Roman Reigns. And where I've always been consistent with Roman Reigns has been, hey, as far as his matches go, the quality of his matches, it's always been good. Anytime Roman Reigns is getting ready to do his thing in the ring, typically Roman Reigns gives you a 3.5 out of 5-star match on the regular shows. Just on the regular shows. When it comes to the pay-per-views, Roman Reigns typically gives you a 4-star match. I've yet to see a 5-star match from Roman Reigns. I'm sure many of you would agree with that rating assessment as well. If you're truly unbiased and you just take a step back and you just look at overall his matches, again, TV shows, he's doing typically 3.5. Nothing wrong with that. Mainly 3.5 out of 5 stars. There's nothing wrong with that. Pay-per-view matches, he's typically doing 4 out of 5. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm happy that he's back, because his presence has sorely been missed. It really, really has. As WWE, look, they ain't got no Brock Lesnar. They ain't got no fucking, Bill Goldberg, even though Bill Goldberg said in a recent interview he's booked for 2 matches a year with WWE, I think, up until 2022 or some shit like that. We'll talk about that a little bit more on Monday's show, but you're like, okay. So, Edge is out sadly with that injury. So, I mean, as far as star quality power goes, before Roman Reigns came back tonight, on the Raw side of things, you know, all you really had was Randy Orton. You know, that was really your mega star, if you will. Everybody else has just, at this point, continued to be built up. You go over to the SmackDown side of things, you know, take your pick. You know, you got AJ over there, Matt Riddle's coming along, you got AJ Styles over there, you know, so you got Cesaro, you got Nakamura, you know, you got a Fiend is over there. Strowman has been hitting a lot of misses. Okay, so let's not even, but it was nice to see him kind of get back, if you will, to where he was in the form of the Braun Strowman that we all had first came to know and love before he started going down that slippery slope of creative stupidity that really put him in purgatory for an extended period of time until now. So Roman Reigns, you know, they needed him a long time ago. I understand why. You know, we haven't seen him for this length of time. I'm happy that the man is back. And I honestly believe that Roman Reigns, in his heart of hearts, if you just ask me, my 2 cents from a distance, I don't believe that Roman Reigns would come back, given everything that's going on right now with this pandemic. I don't believe he would come back unless he knew with certainty that, hey, as far as WWE COVID positive cases goes, you know, what precautions, the steps that they're taking to make sure that everybody's health, you know, is not jeopardized. You know, what's the protocol? You know, how long is he gonna have to stay in quarantine before he, you know, can go see his own family and everything? I'm sure he would not be doing any of this right now unless he felt truly comfortable. And the fact that he was back tonight, I mean, that just lets me know on so many levels that he's comfortable. You know, not for nothing, you know, he kicked that leukemia remission and everything, but there's a whole lot of stuff that you got to be thinking about. So I'm sure a lot of that was on his mind, and that's why he was out the length of time that he was out. I'm really happy that he's back. I don't think I have anything more to add with regards to that main event match. If there's something else you want me to kind of dive into a little bit more there, let me know, and we'll kind of circle back to it later on during the broadcast. So pre-show, Charlie Caruso, Booker T, Renee Young, Peter Rosenberg, JBL. Oh yeah, we had a all-star panel for the SummerSlam pre-show. And it was funny because, you know, you're seeing Charlie Caruso and she's doing most of the talking. And it was funny too because at this point, I actually was making myself a little bit of dinner. And I took it easy tonight. I had a little bit of sushi and I had a little bit of... I had some spring rolls, basically, some chicken spring rolls. So I'm just kicking back. I'm taking it easy. I got my soy sauce. I got my chopsticks. Yeah. And my girl says to me, you know, man, Renee's barely doing any talking here. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, she's barely doing any talking. It's mostly Charlie that's doing the talking. I'm like, well, you know, supposedly Renee Young's on her way out the door. He's like, yeah. My girl's like, yeah, I heard that. I'm like, where'd you hear that from? So apparently my girl has her own little wrestling news feed that she gets now. I like that. It creates great conversation to and from work when we hook up and everything. I like that. See, that's how relationships work. You know, they usually adapt each other's hobbies and all that. That's good shit. But yeah, it's official, guys. Let's talk about that for just a hot couple of minutes here. It's official. We heard the rumblings that Renee Young, supposedly her contract had expired and she was going to be leaving the WWE. It was made official during the pre-show. So if you guys did not check out the pre-show, you sadly missed one of actually the last time that you'll see Renee Young in the WWE universe. And it was pretty touching. It was pretty awesome and very professional how they gave Renee Young a nice little proper send-off. Basically, at the end of the SummerSlam kickoff, Charlie Caruso had thanked Renee Young for all the contributions that she's made, really being a awesome broadcasting female pioneer in her own respected right, paving the way for, other females in the WWE that's coming in basically the same route that Renee Young came in through the WWE and everything. And I gotta tell you, I'm quite sad. I legit am quite sad. I will be very transparent. I'll be very honest with you guys. Now, when it came to WWE Backstage, I sadly did not do like some people and check out every single episode. For me, once I started getting the gist of WWE Backstage, it changed drastically from the first, I would say, 2 months that it was on, and it was okay. So we're essentially kind of continuing certain story arcs here is really what we're doing. So that kind of turned me off a little bit. I don't know how it was for you guys, but that kind of turned me off a little bit. Now, even at that, okay, well, what about CM Punk? CM Punk's with Fox, and I mean, even at that, there was only a handful of times I would even watch Backstage with CM Punk on it, and I'm a huge CM Punk fan. Nothing personal against CM Punk, but CM Punk just wasn't quite enough for me to, record Backstage and all that. But I recognize talent when I see it, and Renee Young, extremely, extremely talented she was. And I think we kind of knew deep down that this was going to happen. I think we all kind of knew it. We hoped that it wouldn't. I'm sure that there were some of us that were looking at this saying to ourselves, well, maybe with Renee Young being there in the WWE, maybe one day, Jon Moxley will come back to the WWE. Maybe WWE will kind of smack the back of them, smack themselves over the head and say, what the hell were we thinking with this guy? Look at what he's doing over here. This is exactly how, we should be operating with him. So I wouldn't blame it if some fans were thinking, hey, this is what should be happening. Let's make sure that Renee Young has everything that she needs, that she's satisfied. Let's really make sure that we do her well. And you kind of, it's safe to say they did do her well and everything, but that's the thing, man. When you got a couple that's used to being together for so long, and they're fucking, they're used to traveling, going all over the place, just traveling together in general. The car rides, the hotel rides, planes, trains, you name it. And then all of a sudden, that significant other is no longer there. That starts to be a little bit tasking, if you will. So, it's sad to see a great talent like Renee Young leave. It really, really is. And look, I know that, and I'll agree with many of you guys, as far as her commentating, was she anything fucking, was she Taz on commentating? No. Was she even JBL on commentating? No. I make the argument that Beth Phoenix is a much better commentator than Renee Young. I will fucking admit that. But Renee Young pretty much, I'm not making excuses for her, but when she was made, just stop and think about this for a second. Renee Young had joined WWE officially in 2012. And she started off doing backstage interviews for, just all throughout the shows. And then less than a year after that, you go to 2013, she essentially became exclusive to NXT. She started being a regular commentator and all of that, all through NXT. And you just look at that evolution, even right on up to really the last time that we had saw her on a regular basis doing commentating with Michael Cole, Corey Graves. Y'all gotta admit, before they did that whole draft thing, they really, really, really had shook it up. They really, really shook it up. with that draft, and Renee Young was really starting to find her stride as a commentator. It's one thing to admit when, hey, somebody is definitely improving. All of us in our own respected right, whatever job that we're pushing, however we're making that money at that 9 to 5, all of us at some point, we're in a position where, okay, there's room for improvement. And Renee Young definitely was finding her stride, making the improvements as she was coming along as a commentator. There's definitely no denying that. No denying that whatsoever. And she definitely showed that women deserve every right to freaking hang. And to the person in the chat that's talking about Roman Reigns and all that, do me a huge favor. I've enabled it so that when you're watching the show live, you can actually just rewind it back. Because we got done talking about Roman Reigns and all that about 15 minutes ago. I'd hate to repeat that whole thing again. Maybe somebody in the chat can interact with you and kind of give you the 411. But yeah, Renee Young, decorated career. Now look, let me tell you something, kind of just touching briefly on what was said in the chat there just a few seconds ago. As sad as I am to see a talent like Renee Young leave the WWE, I have personally always felt, and you guys have probably felt this way as well, especially if you're watching maybe your local news station and there's somebody that you are really, really high on that does a phenomenal job covering sports. And you say to yourself, man, they would do phenomenal if they got picked up by the NFL Network, or they got picked up by ESPN or FS1 or whatever. And then eventually, I'll give you a perfect example, not being long with it. There's an awesome woman that's right here from Washington, D.C. Her name is Lindsay Zarniak. And her husband, his name is Craig Melvin. You guys have probably seen him. He's been making his rounds on the Today Show, co-hosting it. He's also done a few episodes of Dateline and everything. They're husband and wife and everything. But both of them right here from the nation's capital. Lindsay Zarniak, as far as all things sports, she is a fucking juggernaut. She is a fucking juggernaut. And especially when it came to her football coverage, particularly on the Washington Redskins and everything. And when you just, certain people you go, okay, they just know the bare minimum just to get themselves over, make the presentation look on point and everything. And then there's people that actually know their shit, can actually hang with the best of them. And it's like, wow. And with Lindsay Zarniak, she was one of those people that there was no denying that girl had freaking talent. He had freaking talent like she had freaking talent like a mofo. And to show you and demonstrate how much talent she had, the late George Michael, I'm not talking about the singer, I'm talking about George Michael, the sports broadcaster, had the syndicated show, the George Michael Sports Machine. George Michael was a huge fan of pro wrestling, and over the decades before he passed, leading up to when he passed actually, he was always a fan of wrestling, a big fan of WWE. And when his shows would come on Sundays, because that's when you would normally be able to catch him, was Sunday nights, he would always have a little reel on everything that had happened from WWE programming for that week, or if they did a pay-per-view or whatever, he was always talking about it. But anyway, NBC, they had decided as a whole, they were going to be making some cuts because they were trying to save money. And originally, Lindsay Zarniak was going to be one of the people that they were going to try to let go. And George Michael said, no, you know what? Forget that. I've been at this for so many decades now. I'm pretty much towards the end of retirement anyway. This Lindsay Zarniak, she's awesome. She's going places. No. Keep her. You guys need to keep her. And so ultimately George Michael left. But she was somebody that, she could only go but so far on a local affiliate station that eventually she did excel and thrive in other areas. And you see just everything that she's been able to do since then. So my point with regards to Renee Young, anything is possible. I mean, I can see Renee Young on ESPN, FS1. I could see her being an NBA sideline reporter for TNT or whoever. Whatever she decides to do, I mean, she's got an excellent portfolio. A great work history. She would be able to make the transition and thrive in whatever it is that she decides to do. Trust me, we have not heard the last from her. We're going to be hearing a lot of her. As far as what that next move is going to be, if it's going to be AEW, your guess is as good as mine. But for now, hey man, for what all she was able to do in the WWE, hats off to you, Renee Young. Pre-show matchup, Apollo Crews retained his United States title over MVP. Okay matchup. Pretty short, pretty sweet. And as a matter of fact, with regards to that match, it was a pretty short match. I mean, it lasted about maybe 6 minutes and some change, give or take. Remember, this match, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin were banned from ringside. So when it was all said and done, Apollo Crews, this was your pre-show match again, or your pre-show match. Apollo Crews getting the job done there. Your actual card for SummerSlam, Bayley taking on Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. You've been checking out my shows regularly. Y'all know how much praise I've been giving Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley. Just any one of those combinations, as long as you have the three of them mixed up, it's been great fucking TV. And everything that culminated with the pay-per-view matches here with Asuka, good. I have no complaints whatsoever. Usually I'm a stickler for detail, and there was probably one little spot in the Bayley Asuka match that kind of but other than that, these two girls, as far as I was concerned, they hit it out the park. They did hit it out the park. I want to home in. I want to talk about the final moments of that matchup, because it actually played out exactly, again, kind of going back to the predictions portion of Monday's show that I gave, and looking at the card right now, just for you all's information, I'm looking at the card right now, and I gotta tell you, looking at all the matches that happened tonight, I gotta go back and confirm my picks from Monday's show, but it's safe to say I only got one match wrong. You heard me right. I only got one match wrong, and I was spot on everywhere else. With regards to Sasha Banks, Bayley, Asuka, that went down exactly how I told you it was going to go down on Monday. I said, honestly, I could see a scenario coming about where Sasha Banks goes above and beyond to help out Bayley retain her SmackDown title, but when it comes time for Sasha Banks to get that scratch on the back, is Bayley truly gonna have Sasha Banks back, or is it bust? And it played out exactly how I alluded to it from Monday. Hey, that's good. So it looks like we're maybe going in the direction of ultimately Bayley, Sasha Banks fighting each other for that SmackDown Women's title. I know for a long time, we all as fans, we've been wanting to see these two girls lock horns already, and we just may be getting one step closer to that. So, but it was interesting, the tone that was set up in this match, and even with the commentators saying what they had said with this first matchup between Asuka and Bayley. You're like, okay, they're already planting the seeds. The commentators, that is, they're already planting the seeds. Now you can't help but wonder, okay, yeah, just what exactly is going to happen when we get ready to go into that next matchup there. So closing moments of this one, and I actually want to pull this up here because I got my notes here. So hang on. So closing moments of this one. Bear with me a second here. I'm trying to think what went down here. I think Sasha Banks did something physically where she interfered. I mean, she like literally sacrificed her body to help Bayley basically capitalize on the distraction, if you will. I mean, that's really the nice way to kind of sum it up. Last thing I want to do is be here talking about move for move and all that other shit, but just if you listen to Monday's show, the way I laid it out, because I did spend a couple of minutes talking about how I could see this match playing out. That's exactly how it played out, folks. So again, if you checked out Monday's show, it played out exactly how I said it was going to play out. So you're already going, what's going to happen when Asuka takes on Sasha Banks for that Raw Women's title. Let's talk about the next matchup that we had on the card, though. The next one that we had up on the card, that was Street Profits. Angela Dawkins, Montez Ford defeating Andrade and Angel Garza. This was the tag match for the Raw Tag Team titles. Okay matchup. You know, it was all right, but I mean, am I the only one that looked at this match and honestly felt that we truly did not have our grand finale to this particular story arc? And I say that respectfully because I believe in storyline consistency. Call me a stickler for detail. But if on Monday's Raw, you got Samoa Joe teasing about some footage, and then you've got the footage that's shown with Zelina Vega and, okay, what's going on with that red cup? And you're kind of led to the impression Zelina did something, but until we can actually see a camera that's just, okay, here's Zelina, here's her face, here's her hands, watch her go on that cup. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that maybe we would get a definitive, okay, so here's some more of the footage that was not shown that we can show here tonight at SummerSlam. I was kind of hoping for something along those lines, but we didn't exactly get that. We didn't get that at all, to be perfectly honest. Furthermore, I still didn't quite like the fact that Montez Ford and them, they're just coming out. They're doing their little happy dancing and all of that. It's like, bro, you were poisoned. You were fucking poisoned. You were bedridden for X amount of days, and do you really want to be bouncing around? And I'm just thinking the storyline. Again, call me a stickler for detail. But my whole thing was, nah, man. It's like, these guys were trying to sabotage your title run. Y'all got a receipt. You need to cash for these fools already. Go out there fucking swinging. But, your man did like the red cups dropping from the ceiling. I did like that. By the way, something interesting. I saw a number of people that were able to participate in the WWE Thunderdome, which, by the way, WWE, we got to have a heart-to-heart talk. If you're going to be doing this whole Thunderdome, look, I'm a product child of the 80s and everything, and there was some good music that was around during the 80s. If y'all gonna be doing this new WWE Thunderdome, don't you think it makes all the sense in the world that you change the fucking theme song for at least one of your shows, just so you can kind of work in Thunderdome? And you don't have to look that far. Personally, I say you go with Tina Turner's Thunderdome. Come on, everybody remembers Tina Turner's Thunderdome from Mad Max, one of the all-time fucking great sci-fi movies of all fucking time. Come on, remember the lyrics like, we don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond the Thunderdome. I can just picture, Seth Rollins and all of that. That'd be kind of badass if they actually went in that direction. But they'll probably won't do it. The royalties alone, just the royalties alone that you gotta pay Tina Turner, they're probably not gonna fucking do it. But I mean, come on, it makes a lot of sense. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like, you gonna do WWE Thunderdome? Well, then you should get Tina Turner's Thunderdome. Makes sense, right? Kind of fits the zone there. But anyway, Anyway, there, yeah, I saw a number of fans that were saying how they successfully were able to register, they were able to join Thunderdome, right? Peep this out, peep this out. You guys won't believe this shit. Apparently, a producer was telling these people that were participating as virtual fans, telling them when to cheer and when to boo, who to cheer for, who to boo for. Now, I don't know about you, but that is a very, very, very different direction, obviously, as opposed to you and I going to a local arena for some wrestling action, in this case WWE, and we're cheering who we want to cheer for, we're booing who we want to boo, and we're letting the WWE know, hey, this is how we feel about the product tonight. Boy, I tell you, with that type of micromanaging that's going on, I'm actually kind of glad, because I'll let it be no secret, I actually had tried to register for the Thunderdome experience just so I could talk about it exclusively here on the show. And I was hoping that if I wasn't going to be able to get in, because I tried for the SmackDown Thunderdome experience. I tried for TakeOver. I tried for SummerSlam. I even tried for Raw. And I just struck out. I was like, okay, well, fuck it. But there were a decent amount of people that were saying that actually had participated. And you're like, whoa. One funny thing, too, at one point, you see one fan who has, this was hilarious. So he brilliantly takes off his camera and switches scenes. So it's safe to say he was doing this maybe through OBS or XSplit or something like that. And he has this black graphic with white text pop up that says Fire Velveteen Dream. Let me tell you something. The WWE producers and everything, they got rid of that dude so fucking fast. It wasn't even funny. As soon as you see the sign, you go, oh, the kid was already eliminated from the fucking virtual thing. Look, because this was really my first time. I would say second time, actually, because if I'm not mistaken, Thunderdome was actually on TakeOver, and I did watch TakeOver before SummerSlam tonight. It's cool. I gotta say, the way they got the virtual set and all that set up, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, it's awesome the way they got it set up. If you have, just as a sports fanatic, if you even bothered checking out an NBA game since it's been back, WWE literally just pulled a page from the NBA's playbook. Literally. Pumped in crowd. I gotta tell you, I'm not really a fan of the 2K WWE audio there from SmackDown versus Raw. I'm not exactly a fan of them doing that. I think it just honestly would have made more sense in the world to just, you got the fans right there. Why are their mics muted? If they know the rules, they know, hey, okay, this is what's going to get you ejected, blah, 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 and they agree to it and everything, then I say, go ahead. And in a way you can easily counter it, I would like to believe that when these pay-per-views are live, there's already at least a 10, 15, 20-second delay, so you can make whatever necessary edits off the slide you need to make. I'm just saying. But I don't like that piped in crowd shit. I don't. There's just something about, in the NBA, it just kind of works for them. But as a fan, I'm not tripping so much on the virtual fans when I'm watching an NBA game. Like, for me, they're non-existent. I'm paying more close attention to what's going on with the action on the court. So to me, it almost feels like I'm watching just a typical basketball game. Honestly, that's what it feels like. Sometimes it feels like I have this bird's eye view and I'm watching some guys just get together at 3 a.m. and they just decide, let's play some straight up hardcore b-ball. Sometimes it kind of feels like that with the games I'm watching. In the case of pro wrestling, in the case of what WWE is doing, taking that same concept and trying to apply, man, we as fans watching these shows from home, we really feed off of the fans that's there in attendance, and they're voicing their thoughts on the product, the talents that they're seeing, and and it's just, we gel off of that, we bounce off of that together. So for me, I would like to see the Thunderdome experience for fans get tweaked quite a bit. First of all, having a producer tell them all that shit, who to cheer for, throw that shit out the door. Just throw that shit out the door. If you're going to be having the people that are legit fans that want to join this thing, want to try to support the product and everything, and you are going to tell them who they need to be cheering for and all that other shit, you might as well just bring your enhancement talent back and just let them continue to be behind plexiglass and let them do the fan thing. That's my honest opinion. And then the second piece of advice I would offer to WWE, why not do something really cool where you do something kind of exclusive for some of these virtual fans? Give some of these virtual fans an opportunity to go live, one-on-one with Michael Cole and Corey and them, or maybe you could have Charlie Caruso, be a moderator and host, the virtual experience of the pay-per-view that all the fans are participating in, and kind of, so guys, let's go to what do you think about the pay-per-view so far? That would be kind of cool if they did something like that. Of course, you do run some risk, but you got to do trial and error. That's the only way you're going to be able to figure out what's working, what's not working, how you need to improve on certain things. I legit feel that any fan that's really going out of their way to go through that whole registration process, wants to set up their webcam, wants to be seen, is really trying to show their appreciation for the product, I think they, for the most part, 9 out of 10, they're going to be okay. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Also, why not give away some really cool prizes or some shit like that as a result of being a virtual fan? That would also be something, kind of give that incentive. Give that incentive on why you need to sign up and register to be a virtual fan. Kind of pay it forward a little bit, WWE. Work that shit out. Work that shit out. Mandy Rose taking on Sonya Deville. Now, I got to rely on you guys a little bit because this was hilarious. So, by the time I got done letting my dog out for the night, I come back into the living room, and now I hear that the Mandy Rose Sonya Deville match is a no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, maybe I'm going crazy. My girl's telling me I'm not crazy, that apparently it was changed, but I just for the record, I'd like for somebody out there to tell me if I'm crazy or not. Wasn't this match originally a hair versus hair match? I could have sworn I heard that right down to the point when we were giving predictions. I said hair versus hair. Okay, Sonya Deville is going to become one bald chick there. So I just found that kind of interesting, how things changed drastically. But was it not? I got to ask you guys again, that's going to be watching this or are watching it live right now. Was it not originally a hair versus hair match? Mandy Rose defeating Sonya Deville in the no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match. Went about 10 minutes long. Look, these two girls, I gotta say, as far as sleeper match of the night, something that really snuck up on me, and wow, that was pleasantly damn good. Like that old man in the Popeyes commercial, he takes a bite of that fucking chicken sandwich. Goes, yeah! That's how this match kind of snuck up on you in such good fashion. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I got to give mad props to both of those girls. They did fantastic in their match tonight. They sincerely, and I mean that. I'm not fucking overshooting it. This for me, if there's one match in particular, I would say go out of your way to check out. For sure, the Bayley, Sasha Banks, Asuka, I definitely would say go out of your way to check out both of those respected matches. But I would also quickly point out Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. They did good. I'm really, really proud of those girls. Of course, Sonya Deville leaving WWE. I don't think we need to be long-winded with this. It's safe to assume that we kind of saw this coming. Did we not? This was kind of expected, given everything. And we talked about this on Monday's show. We talked about the whole sick, deranged individual that was stalking Sonya Deville for close to a year. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for that home security system that Sonya had in her home, and Mandy was actually there, that would have been such a serious, dark tragedy. Let me tell you something, the boys from Dark Side of the Ring would have been salivating over trying to figure out how they can tell that story. Let me put it to you that way. But no, seriously, just the wrestling industry as a whole, that just would have opened up some really bad wounds, and it would have just gone down a path of, because I remember when Eddie Guerrero passed. I remember when the Benoit tragedy went down. Media for those first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it was rough. It was rough. I think we would have been going down that path all over again if this story would have taken a dark turn for the worse. It's safe to say we know why this match went down the way that it did. I don't want people thinking that, I guess Sonya Deville no longer wants to be a wrestler. What the fuck? There was an interview that Sonya Deville had gave. I sadly cannot remember who it was that she gave the interview to, but I remember talking about it on the show. As a matter of fact, there was an interview that she had gave several weeks ago where she heard about the opening for a new Catwoman, and she was talking about how she had reached out to her people and was trying to see if she could pull some strings and make some stuff work after the woman that had played Catwoman pretty much backed out, for personal and physical reasons. She could no longer do the role and everything, and she rolled out. And so she felt that, I think I'd be a good Catwoman. And the question was asked, well, how does WWE feel about this? And she said, well, everything that's happening right now is just early talks. I'm sure WWE would definitely get on board with this. I mean, hey, eventually I wouldn't mind going into Hollywood, try my hand with some roles, do some stuff. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I'm having a blast right now as a pro wrestler. That was the one thing that was definitely established during this interview, was that she was having a blast being a wrestler so far. And it was a great interview talking about her transition from MMA and the pro wrestling and all of that. So my biggest takeaway from that interview from a distance was, okay, with regards to the pro wrestling, she's in this for the long haul. Okay, cool. Look, man, it's safe to assume that with the shit that had went down with the stalker and everything, she's trying to get her affairs, in order. I don't know if the fucking preliminary trial has happened just yet with that fucking sick individual, but, and just kind of, recap for you guys again, a couple of weeks ago, going back to August the 16th, there was a guy from South Carolina that was basically arrested for breaking into Sonya Deville's home down in Lutz, Florida. So he drove from South Carolina all the way to Lutz, Florida to do physical harm to her. This guy was charged with aggravated stalking, armed burglary of a dwelling, attempted armed kidnapping, and criminal mischief. And she was granted a temporary injunction against what's being described as stalking violence. So I believe there's a preliminary trial and all that that's supposed to be coming up and all that. So, it's kind of hard to, I would imagine you're trying to focus on the stuff that's going on inside of the ring, but then also at the same time, you've got this thing going on the side here with this stalker. I'll give you guys revised information on Monday's show, fresh information, because I'm sure by then we can definitely talk a lot more about that and everything. But she's going to be back. She's just got to take a little bit of time off. And, I would like to imagine just that whole ordeal, it probably shook her up big time. And just the fact that you got this individual just, nobody knows until you're actually put in that situation, but she'll be back. She'll definitely be back. Honestly, I'm already counting it down because for me, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, not for nothing, but both of them respectfully, but I want to sing more the praises of Sonya Deville because Sonya Deville for me was always somebody that when I looked at her, I said, man, she's got a great look. A great look. She's okay in the ring. The personality. It's the personality that really needs to fucking blossom more. And she's leaving on such a high note right now. I mean, just when she's finally starting to reach her peak and she's finally starting to scratch the surface and finally put it all together, it almost kind of reminds you of Ronda Rousey a little bit to a certain degree. When she was able to finally piece it all together and you're like, all right, by George, she's got it. But then just as, all right, I'm starting to enjoy this, gotta pull back. Gotta run. So, by the way, who wore it better? Sonya Deville or Matt Hardy? For those of you that didn't see the pay-per-view, I gotta see. You know what? I gotta see if I can somehow try to pull up the... yeah. I want to pull up the image for you guys. So, bear with me a second. Sonya Deville's in-ring gear attire, that was the stuff of legends because she came out channeling her fucking broken Matt Hardy, man. I guess this was broken Deville. And let me see if I can actually find the image of this for you guys. Because this was fucking awesome, man. This was fucking awesome. I love this. Alright, so I'm looking at the image right now. And if you guys can just bear with me a second, I will actually, let me do this. Okay, so give me this. And then I will blow this. So I got to do this the old-fashioned way real quick. But it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. Again, I'm trying to help those out that didn't see the pay-per-view. So while I'm getting these images here, because I'm looking at both of them right now, I just got to basically put them together, compress them, and I'll post it here in the thread here so you guys can see. See, it pays to watch the web show, man, because I can show you guys all different types of cool shit and all that. So, while I'm doing this, if you guys have been enjoying the show so far, please go out of your way. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe so other people can check out the content with ease. Really helps out big time. And we'll get into some shout-outs in a hot little bit. We only got a couple more matches we can dive into. If anybody wants to... maybe come on live on the air and sound off about what they thought of the pay-per-view, let me know. And I'll let you know how you can do that. Alright, so so I got my image now. I've saved it. So let me go in here. Hang on here, guys. Give me this image. Alright, give me this image here. Is this an image? Oh, no. That's not an image. Hang on, guys. That's not an image. Give me... so do I need to create a new image? Hang on. Yeah, I need to create a new image. And I'll be able to show it to you guys. Okay, so image. Add source. New source. Yeah, we'll call it that. And then Browse. Where is that shit? No, don't give me that shit. There we go. All right, so it's loading up now, so you guys will be able to see this. And for those of you that's going to be listening to the audio, just go on the Facebook page. You guys will be able to see it that way. All right, so yeah, so let me just kind of look at this shit, man. So now I gotta ask you, who pushed it better, man? Who pushed it better, Sonya Deville or Matt Hardy? I gotta tell you, man, something pretty badass there. The way Sonya Deville was pushing that. I gotta tell you, I kind of enjoyed Sonya Deville's interpretation a little bit more there. I was just ready for her to just break out and go, delete! Oh, good shit, man. Good shit. A little Matt Hardy thing going on there. All right, so let's talk about some more matches here. Let's see, what else we got here? We only got a couple of more matches to talk about, then we pretty much are going to wrap it up for tonight. Let's see, where's the rest of my matches here? Let's see, where's some of my matches? I lost my fucking card. There we go. All right, next matchup went about 23 minutes long. Seth Rollins taking on Dominik Mysterio. Street fight. I got nothing but praise for Dominik Mysterio. You're not going to find me shitting on this match in any capacity. Dominik Mysterio, I tell you, man, he's been great. He has been great getting involved in this Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins feud and everything. And eventually it morphed into Dominik taking on Rollins. Dominik shined big time in this. By the way, his costume that he wore, his in-ring gear, that shit was badass. Kind of paid great homage to his dad there. I was feeling it on so many levels. Fucking Seth Rollins coming out, he actually was channeling the Phantom Rey Mysterio from the WCW days there with his attire. That was pretty badass. But no, man, you're not going to find me shitting on this match. This match, the way it was laid out, it was excellent. Dominik shined big time in this matchup. He proved to me that he has got a bright career ahead of him as a wrestler. And I don't say that loosely. And I tell you what, you know what makes it even so more surreal and just kind of, it makes me feel very old at the same time? It's the fact that, and I'm sure a lot of other wrestling fans can definitely relate to what I'm about to say, the fact that I grew up on Dominik. I'm sure many of you grew up on Dominik as well. I mean, how many of us did not grow up watching Dominik age right before our very eyes? One of the first times we were introduced to him in the Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, who's your daddy story angle and all that, you know, and just to see how this, you know, tiny young little boy at the time, and you just fast forward to now and he's blossomed into this, you know, mature man who decided, yeah, you know what, I want to go into this thing called pro wrestling. I want to follow in the footsteps of my dad. I want to follow in the footsteps of my Uncle Eddie. He's doing the Mysterio name justice. He's doing the Latino community very fucking proud. I got to tell you. And what he did tonight, look, keeping all that in mind, if I felt that in any capacity, Dominik laid a fucking wet fart, I would be the first to tell you guys, in all honesty, and all fucking honesty. But he was pretty good. He was pretty good tonight. There's definitely a few areas of improvement that needs to come about. Pacing being one of those things. And I think that it will get better, especially with the pacing and everything. I think all of that will get even better, really, ultimately, once the fans return to some capacity to these arenas. I think then he'll really be able to thrive and everything. But no, man, he did good. And I tell you something. You know, with this story angle was really missing, and I just couldn't help but say, damn, this story angle screams Eddie Guerrero. It fucking screams Eddie Guerrero. I would just, could you just imagine if Eddie was still here with us right now, man? If he was just still with us right now. Boy, I tell you what, that would have been something. That would have been something. I'll tell you what though, man, I thought for a second Mama Mysterio was going to get involved there because, you know, we got fucking Mama Mysterio. She's in the back and she's looking at the monitor. She's seeing what's going on with her boy, and you're going, all right, it's just a matter of time before she comes out. And I didn't realize Mama Mysterio was so tall, man. I hadn't seen her in so long, and you know, when I first see her, I'm going, who is that? And I had to do a double take. I'm going, wait a minute, is that Mama Mysterio? And I'm like, damn, she kind of big, and I mean that in the most complimentary way possible. I mean, she looks like she can kick somebody's ass. That's what I mean by big. She looks like she can kick somebody's ass. I'm not saying she's fat. I'm not saying she's sloppy. I'm not saying any of those things. She just, the weight that she carries on herself, nice, good build. It was an excellent build. But she looked like she could whoop some ass. I'm just picturing her. I'm like, uh-oh. How long before she comes out and she's about ready to whoop somebody's ass there? And sure enough, she did come out. And you got poor Mysterio. Please, honey, please. Please, I know, damn you, Seth Rollins, damn you, but no, mira, por favor. Hey, he said he wants to do this, he wants to become a man, he wants to do this himself, please. You know, if he gets his eye poked out, it's okay, he wants to be a man like his daddy, por favor, please. And, I mean, that's literally, I'm not, mocking Mary Mysterio, but that's literally what he's saying to fucking Mama Mysterio. But you know, Mama Mysterio's kind of like, Ninja, if you don't fucking go down there and save our fucking son, I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna go get medieval on their ass. So it was nice to ultimately see that Mama Mysterio did not have to get involved. But I gotta tell you, what I would have gave to see Mama Mysterio get physical with a steel chair or so, I'd have loved to fucking seen that go down, man. But hey, it's all good. Seth Rollins defeating Dominik Mysterio there, just cleanly too. Curb stomp, gets the 1, 2, 3. That pretty much was it. I would like to believe this is not over. I would like to believe that there's still yet another chapter that remains unfolded here with this angle. I would seriously like to believe that this is not over just yet. But I can't help but think about Eddie, because Eddie would have just slid so perfectly in this angle right now. He just would have. And I mean, can you guys just imagine? Y'all know I've always been on point when it comes to my overall takeaway of Seth Rollins, and I've always been consistent. I've always told you guys when it comes to Seth Rollins, I've always told you guys, Seth Rollins, his matches are always on point. I cannot ever recall a time, as long as I've been watching Seth Rollins in the WWE, where he's had a bad match, where I just walked away and said, well, that went over like a wet fart. I would have to really, really dig, but I've yet to see a match where Rollins has had that poor quality of a match. Could you just imagine the type of match that he and Eddie would have had? Oh man, those styles, man. Woo! Those styles would have gelled so fucking well together. But no, man, I gave Dominik Mysterio compliments when he was taking that beating with the kendo stick on Monday Night Raw a couple of weeks ago. What I say? I did the scene from Goodfellas where fucking Paulie and them, hey, you popped your cherry. Yeah, he popped his cherry there. This was his coming of age moment right here. This was his, I arrived and I'm here for the long haul. That's how I looked at it. That was the declaration that I looked at here tonight. He's got a bright career ahead of him as a single star. No mistake about that. No mistake about that. So happy for the young man. And also, I'd be remiss if I also did not give a mad shout out to Seth Rollins. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but Seth Rollins was quoted in a recent interview, and he said that as far as his SummerSlam opponent goes, he handpicked Dominik. Dominik was the one that, because apparently this was a couple of months in the making, if you will. Seth Rollins handpicked Dominik. And he liked everything that was going on with him, talking with Ray, talking with Conan, and seeing where Dominik was in his whole progress, how serious he was in wanting to be an in-ring competitor and everything. Rollins, so, if you guys enjoyed what you saw tonight between those two guys, aside from giving all the praise and everything to Dominik and how he stepped up and everything, you also, I know some people, kind of feel rubbed the wrong way when it comes to Rollins, but this is definitely a case right here where you definitely need to give him his props right here for the fact that he handpicked Dominik as his opponent there. Sasha Banks losing her Raw Women's Championship to Asuka. So when it was all said and done, and it was time for Bayley to scratch Sasha Banks' back, didn't exactly happen. Didn't happen at all, really. Again, goes back to what was talked about on the Monday show. We kind of expected that. So what friction, if at all, has been caused as a result of what had played out tonight? Sidebar. I can't believe WWE is doing this. I need to know why they're doing this, but we've got another pay-per-view by WWE. Yes, as if TakeOver 30 and SummerSlam was not enough. This coming Sunday, there's going to be another fucking pay-per-view by WWE. There is going to be WWE Payback. Jesus Christ, man. They're working us, man. Wait, we're here. We'll do all the work so you guys don't have to. That's like you don't want to check out the pay-per-view. But yeah, that's crazy, right? A week from Sunday. Another pay-per-view. So this coming Sunday, another pay-per-view. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Jesus fucking Christ. You can't make this shit up. That pay-per-view is going to be dropping on August 30th. You can't make this shit up. I wish I was trolling you guys. I wish I was telling you guys it's a typo. I'm just pulling y'all's leg. WWE is actually the grandest, biggest pay-per-view spectacle of them all. And they're actually doing another pay-per-view a week from, well, actually, we're now in Monday, so really 6 days from now. Crazy. Fucking crazy. We got one more match to talk about. Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton. Match for the WWE Championship. So Drew McIntyre still your WWE champion. I'm not sure I exactly... I got to kind of find my way through this matchup. You guys got to work with me here. The match was okay. It was okay. As far as the finish goes, I'll buy into it and I'll tell you the reason why. I buy into the finish of the match for the simple fact that Randy Orton can come out of that and make the argument, you know what, I pretty much had you right where I wanted you. That was just pure fucking luck. That was just pure fucking luck that you had right there on your side. But let's up the ante a little bit. No way is Orton and McIntyre done right here. I'm not picking up that vibe. I still believe, and I told you guys this a long time ago, some weeks back, even when I was offering predictions, I did go on record. And by the way, if you guys kind of figured it out, this was pretty much the match that I didn't get right. But I said Orton should go over. He's got the white hot steady hand right now. He's the guy that needs to go over in this. Let him hold the title for as long as humanly possible, at least until Edge comes back. And maybe you can pretty much, maybe you could switch the titles after that or whatever. But I picked Orton to pick up the W right here. For me, I felt that McIntyre had a strong run as a champion, but I also felt that WWE behind the scenes had been building up Orton for such an extended period of time that, okay, this feels like everything has been culminating to this point. It kind of feels as though this is the finish. This is where we need to go right now. If we're not going to pull the trigger right here with Orton, then when, if any, is the next opportunity going to come where we pull the trigger on Orton? But all indications really, and I think you all would agree as well, all indications really kind of came off and pretty strong that Orton's probably going to be walking away with the title right here. And honestly, if you had thought that, there's nothing wrong with that. But, the fact that McIntyre came out of this still as champion, I mean, look, on the one hand, if you ask me, does McIntyre still have a lot to offer as champion? Does he still have a lot to offer with this current title reign? I think so. I think so. But at the same time, it goes back to what I was talking about initially. And it kind of goes back to the quarter reports that are always coming about from WWE. You heard the highlights from the last one where Vince McMahon was basically saying, we're still trying to build new stars up, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that's great that we got Drew McIntyre in the position that he's in, but who else are we building up in the process that can basically be of equal level to Drew, Orton, and a couple of the other guys there? Because, the window gets very, very short after those few names that I just mentioned there. So who else are we exactly building up here that can eventually, okay, well, here's an alternative. Let's go with this for a hot minute. But I don't know. It looked good. The match that they had tonight, it did look good. The delivery was okay. As far as the finish, I actually was okay with it. Orton kept looking for the fucking RKO. One time he finally does fucking connect. You're like, okay, that's the 3 count. Not so fast. McIntyre looking for the Claymore kick. Okay, kind of looks as though, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe that's it. Match is over. It was a nice little balance. I like seeing the fact that both of these men were kicking out of signature moves, finishing moves, and you're kind of like, well, what's this really going to come down to here? And what it came down to, some would maybe question the finish. Oh, man, so McIntyre wins with a fucking schoolboy roll-up, essentially? Like that's how he fucking gets the W here? What the fuck? If you're Randy Orton, you come out of that and you talk mad fucking hot game, and essentially you got to do another match. You got to do a rematch between these two guys, honestly. So let it go down at Payback. And if you ask me if maybe you should go in the direction of a new champion, you got to entertain it again. But the match was good for what it was worth. I actually thought the match was good. I'm most interested in, when it's all said and done, what they did tonight was just a warm-up. Payback is coming up. I'm very curious to see what direction they're going to be going with McIntyre Orton 2. I just mark it down. Orton, McIntyre 2, Payback is going down. That's where we really need to be focusing on and asking the question, so is it going to go down there? Are they going to pull the trigger on Orton getting the title there? Because if not, and I actually hope that they do pull the trigger, because let me tell you something. Again, it goes back to what I've been saying for a long time. The chase is better than the catch. I don't mind seeing McIntyre chase after Randy Orton there. But at the same time, we need to see somebody else be built up. And this brings me to a big revelation that was revealed during tonight's pay-per-view. For you fans of Keith Lee, if it rubbed you the wrong way seeing him lose the NXT title to Karrion Kross, who I've told you guys, phenomenal talent. Phenomenal talent. I was singing his praises when he was still on Impact. Singing his praises big time. If you were rubbed the wrong way by what all went down with TakeOver, hopefully you'll find comfort in this. Keith Lee has been promoted to the Raw roster. So effective this Monday night on Raw, we're going to be properly introduced to Keith Lee. If you haven't been watching NXT, this is somebody, if I were to describe this guy to you, just what all he brings to the table. You know, he's got a mix of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, meets the Incredible Hulk, meets I'm trying to think what else he's got mixed in there. Seems like a little bit of Samoa Joe mixed in with a little bit of Junkyard Dog to a degree, mixed in there with just from a personality, just a larger than life kind of personality, a little touch of Nick Bockwinkel in there, just a little touch, and you guys kind of peep what I'm talking about when I mention that. Don't think in-ring action when you're homing in on Nick Bockwinkel, otherwise you'll just fuck that whole thing up. But he's got a lot of nice elements to him that when you roll it all up, you get Keith Lee. The guy's phenomenal, and as big as a dude as he is, the dude moves fucking fluid. I mean, sometimes you're watching this guy and you're like, man, for a big dude, he almost moves like a cruiserweight. Almost. I said almost moves like a cruiserweight. But if you haven't seen him down in NXT, you guys are going to be in for a big treat. I'm hoping for nothing but the best for this guy. This is a guy that honestly, and if the reports are true that Shane McMahon is supposedly going to be stepping up a lot more, helping out with the Raw show, while Bruce Pritchard focuses more on the SmackDown show, then we might be able to expect good and big things to happen for Keith Lee. But time will tell, right? In the meantime, we got to have our hands behind our backs. We kind of got to sit on them for a little bit, as much as we want to get all excited and Keith Lee, yeah, and all this other stuff. Let's see what happens first. But I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens with Keith Lee. But this is definitely somebody that I've sung high praises for months now. He can thrive so well on the main roster. He can thrive extremely well on the main roster. He is somebody that definitely needs to be elevated rather quickly. I would love to see him in a team up with Kevin Owens. I would definitely love to see him get it on with Seth Rollins. I ultimately would love to see him feud with Randy Orton. I think the two of them, I think they would mesh extremely well. Whole lot of great combinations there that you can do with a guy like Keith Lee. But we already talked about the main event match, which was the closer of the night. Braun Strowman taking on Bray Wyatt there, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns returning. So there's really no reason for us to rehash that again. Let's see what you guys had to say in the poll. We got 2 polls up, one on Twitter, the other one on Facebook. Twitter is what I was thinking. Forgive me there, guys. Twitter at the RCWR show. Yeah, man. Yeah, see Chris Matthews on Twitter. He's got it down right. Looks like he was checking out the show because he sent me an Eddie Guerrero gift. I'm your puppy. Yeah, man. Fucking Eddie Guerrero. Man, he is so fucking missed. He would have fit this angle perfectly right now. He would have fit it perfectly right now. Let's see what you guys are saying in the polls here, man. All right, let's go to Twitter first. See what you guys are saying here. All right, so on Twitter, 11% of you are giving the pay-per-view a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 89% of you are giving the SummerSlam pay-per-view a thumbs up. I repeat, 11% of you are giving it a thumbs down. 89% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, let's go to YouTube. Remember, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab. You can cast your vote that way. I'm seeing 23% of you via YouTube are giving the pay-per-view a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 77% of you are giving it a thumbs up. If you have not cast your vote yet, pick the platform that you're most active on and cast your vote that way. I'll definitely circle back to this on Monday night, because we will be back Monday night. We'll be covering Monday Night Raw Fallout, sprinkle in a couple of wrestling headlines and everything. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good show. And meantime, for you gamers out there, FYI, two things I want to let you know. One I already talked about, but the other I didn't. So the first thing I want to bring up is what I didn't get a chance to talk about. If you guys are fans of the NBA mobile game, they're doing something really cool right now. As many of you all know that are basketball fans, today would have been the 42nd birthday of Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant. And NBA mobile, 2K Sports, they're doing something really fucking cool until August 26th. You guys will be able to download a free Kobe Bryant card. And the Kobe Bryant card, it's a pretty damn strong card. And it should help out your roster tremendously. The card that they're giving away, it is I'm trying to think what tier it is. I'm hoping that maybe the information is, let me just check real quick here. Yeah, they sadly don't tell you in the tweet what the rank is. I've already redeemed it and everything. But basically, all you need to do when you go into the NBA 2K mobile game, there's going to be a redeem category that you'll see on the left-hand side of your screen. Just click on redeem and then enter the code Mamba Forever. Make sure it's in all caps. I tried it in lower cases. That didn't trigger the reward. So make sure Mamba Forever is in caps, and you'll be able to get your free Kobe Bryant card. It's an awesome card. When you get it, it starts off with 4,455 overall power. And you can pretty much rank it up to 5 levels. And it's a shooting guard, Kobe Bryant. For those of you that are like, what's the position for that one there? So hopefully that'll, help you guys out. Maybe you guys that haven't been playing the game in a while, it'll give you a little something to do right there. And I'll be taking a brief little pause. I'll be coming back in about 15 minutes, give or take. And I'm actually going to play the NBA 2K21 demo, because over here on the East Coast, it's supposed to be dropping on all the platforms around that time. So I will be downloading that bad boy and I will be streaming it. And join me for that. I'll be streaming it on Twitch, and I'll try to see if I can maybe stream it on YouTube as well. And that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. So stay tuned for that. And meantime, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords, the RCWR show. And until Monday night, when we get ready to cover Monday Night Raw Fallout, you know how we do it. I will see you guys then. Please be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you leave the likes. Please leave the comments, especially those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand. I want to know what you had thought of the SummerSlam pay-per-view event. But please leave the like, subscribe, all that good jazz, okay? Helps other people be able to discover the content with ease. Oh my God, by the way, well, can't forget our Patreon members. We got to shout them out real quick. Shout out to our Patreon members. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus content. Shout out to Gino Morgan. Gino! Shout out to Sean Kenter. Shout out to Justin Ripstock. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. You want the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, upcoming Marvel's Avengers game. Tony Bane Gaming. Tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews. Check him out. Great YouTube channel. Great Patreon paywall as well. Love that guy tremendously. Awesome dude. Awesome fucking dude. Happy to call him a friend. And see, am I forgetting anybody else? Shout out to our sponsors. Good number of sponsors we've been working with for the past couple of weeks now. It's been getting a little hectic here with the sponsors. I've gotten to a point where I'm now trying to figure out, okay, which show is going to have these sponsors, which show is going to have these respected sponsors. So I can't stress it enough for those of you particularly that check out the audio version of the show on demand and on the downloads. If you've been hearing a lot more ads, please always remember there's a powerful button you got at your disposal. It's the fast forward button. But hopefully you listen to the ads. It applies to you. It applies to somebody you know. I always try to look out for you guys and give you guys some shit that y'all would definitely relate to and everything. But consider being a Patreon member, because Patreon content, no ads. Ain't got to worry about that. Only thing we do is the Patreon shout outs, and that's pretty much it. All right, guys, that's going to do it until next go round. Wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. See you next go round. Adios.